Welcome to the Money Pig Podcast, presented by Goodwin Investment Advisory, where our mission is to lead you to financial pig, peace, independence, and generosity. I'm your host, Tim Goodwin. And welcome back to the Money Pig Podcast. Today, we are super grateful and excited to have the one and only Sarah White joining us today. How you doing today, Sarah?
I'm wonderful. How about you?
Doing great. Thanks. Doing great. So Sarah is an incredible estate attorney that we love working with, and we're going to be talking more with her about that. But before we do, I would love, Sarah, if you would maybe share something that the audience doesn't know about you. And this is your first time on the Money Pig Podcast, so you can really go with anything.
Something the audience doesn't know about me. I'm a big Tennessee fan. I have a very full household. I have 4 daughters, a husband, 11 chickens, and 2 dogs. So between that and my legal practice, I am pretty busy.
We know you're a Tennessee fan because you use an office here in our building, and we've got quite a bit of orange over there. So that's awesome. So, Sarah, it's kind of funny you mentioned the chickens because I have chickens at home as well, and one of the hens hatched some chicks, but I guess one got out through the fence, and my little dog Roxy, it imprinted on her and it came inside with her, and it is now living in our house with our dog. We literally ordered little chick diapers today, and we call the chick Hey because that's the name of the chicken in Moana, and we just got back from Hawaii. Anyway, so I highly don't recommend having a chick live in your house because there's poop and then they're up early squawking. But anyway, I don't know what the exit strategy is with this chicken, but right now it's super duper cute. She was fending off the cats that we have and protecting it. She licks it, tries to keep it clean. It is the craziest thing. I think they need their own Instagram page, but we'll let the listeners know if Roxy and Hey end up with an Instagram page. But yes, chickens keep it interesting. So I don't know if you're a listener to the Money Pig, Sarah, but I'd like to start off with some dad jokes. And so I was just going to give you a warning. Sometimes I don't tell people I'm about to say a dad joke, but I got 2 dad jokes around estate planning. Okay, so here they are.
Awesome. I love dad jokes.
Right? And about your line of work. Let's go. So people say they don't need an estate plan because they're not rich. But if you've got a family, a home, or even just a half decent coffee maker, you've got something worth protecting. Let's see. Here's the second one. The estate planning is like a parachute. If you wait too long to open it, well, let's just say it won't soften the landing. So anyway, that's a little bit of our why today about why are we doing an estate planning talk, right? It's not just about the super rich, and it's not just about having a lot of assets. It's really something that I think you and I both believe very strongly in, that really everyone has some kind of basic estate planning. So let me go ahead and get us kicked off here with the first question with you, Sarah. Estate planning often feels like something people put off until it's too late. Can you explain why every family, not just the ultra wealthy, needs an estate plan?
Sure. A lot of reasons. Not getting a basic plan in place means you really have no say-so in what happens with your assets or your kids or any of that other stuff after you cannot communicate those wishes. So, and it's not just ultra wealthy people. One of my favorite clients ever, I believe the only asset she had was a double wide trailer and a tiny little lot it was on. And she was married to a guy who she hadn't seen in 7 years and hadn't never divorced him.
Still
and
married. Yep.
She was adamant that he's not getting her trailer, and she doesn't care. Didn't haggle about fees like some of my ultra wealthy clients. She just wanted something in place and wanted to make sure he did not get that trailer. So that was a perfect example of somebody who's not ultra wealthy who recognizes the value in getting something written that says what the plan is if something happens.
All right. So to be clear, she wasn't coming in there to have you help her get divorced to this guy she hadn't seen in 7 years. She just needed estate planning that her double wide and lot it sat on didn't go to him, right?
Correct, because Georgia law says it goes
next
to him.
To kin, right? You die intestate,
right.
Yeah, without oh my gosh, that's wild. Yeah. So, and I think too, you still have furniture. We were just talking about our pet chickens, Sarah. Who's going to get our chickens? We don't need our family fighting over our chickens, right? We need to kind of make that clear. So you've got chickens, you've got maybe at least some real estate, you've got some assets. It's something that we take really seriously around here too. We double check with our clients, hey, these are your beneficiaries. Are these still is that still your wish? Life moves forward fast and things change. So yes, every family needs one. So when we say every family needs estate planning, what do you recommend as kind of like, hey, this is basic. We got to get all this done.
So it's going to vary state by state, but
Okay.
generally speaking, typically 3 documents is a good, very basic estate plan. So it's in Georgia, it'd be called the Advanced Directive for Healthcare. Similar names in other states too. That's one. And then a financial power of attorney, critically important. Sometimes that's the most important document of the 3 basics.
Right. Okay.
And then a will. And then we might layer some trust planning on top of that. But those are generally the basic 3 from a starting point.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And we might break down some more of those a little bit later here. So, what are the biggest misunderstandings that you see around wills, trusts, estate planning in general that can go wrong if you don't have the right documents in place?
So a lot of people think, it doesn't matter if I do any planning because we're all adults and like my children are all adults. Everybody gets along great. I had a situation recently where it was all adults and everybody got along great. And the lady just did not do basic planning that would have been just really made things so much easier on her family after she got dementia, sadly. And so just having the basics can just go so far to alleviating not only like making sure your wishes are carried out, but also taking off stress off all the people that are dealing with this incredibly difficult situation.
I think that's huge. Yeah. You're like, oh, it's fine. They'll just divvy it up, when I die, and it's like, man, you could make it so much less stressful on them. And I've even heard other consumer advocates, like even Dave Ramsey and others, be like, it's sort of like an I love you letter to your family. Like, show them that you love them by you make this decision. Don't put it on them. You don't want anything to come between them and not realize that, wow, they both have this really great memory with this, particular hutch that was passed down from generation to generation. Let's just go ahead and divide this thing up, or who gets the cat or something like that. In my case, it would definitely be Shiloh. My middle daughter is a cat lover, so she's going to get the cats. Everybody used to that, but you'd have to make it really, really clear. We've had some too, Sarah. Like how much we like incentivize our clients even to get their basic estate planning documents, right? And so we feel like as a really great fiduciary that we would like to see those documents for our clients, right? Like we're not paid. We don't charge them to look at their documents. We like to have electronic copies of them on file for them. One of the reasons why that I don't necessarily tell the client all the time is like, I just want to make sure that like they're complete and that they're right. And so this is really funny. One of my clients gave me this is it. It's executed all that stuff. It's a couple. And I'm going through their document. They told me this is the final copy that they have, but one client didn't sign it. Only the other client had. And believe it or not, it was my mom. Okay. So like my dad had signed it. My mom had not. So like, you guys, this is not a fully executed document. And believe it or not, I've had a client over the 20 years I've done this that brought it kind of scratched out on paper. And I think we've talked about before that, like it could work, right? Like, something that you've kind of just drawn up yourself, but probably a lot better to have a professional. Go ahead. It's possible, but it won't be easy. Probably won't be easy to use later. Right. And that's what I was like, I don't think this is going to be a lot harder than you think. And it's much more affordable to get this stuff done. Yeah. So it's just, let's make sure it's going to hold up in court and let's make sure it's fully executed. You know what I mean? So you've done like, it's like you're running a marathon. You gave up at, mile 25, like you got a mile to go. Like, let's make sure it's all done. So, yeah. So make sure you get all those things in place. So here at Goodwin Investment Advisory, we're also helping our clients think about legacy goals. How can you share how an estate attorney collaborates with financial advisors to create a plan that actually honors someone's wishes both during their life and after? Sure. So that's a great question. I have found financial advisors to be very useful in giving me actual details of the finances, which if I am constantly told the wrong information on who has what account, who the beneficiaries are, like I feel like daily. Maybe not daily, but definitely weekly. And it's not always, it's always it's who they think the beneficiaries are, but they didn't actually go like log into the custodian and be like, here's the actual beneficiary real time. Yeah.
That, or telling me they have a brokerage account when it's an IRA or vice versa. Like a
Yes.
lot of things like that. And I also think it's great because to work with an advisor, to coordinate the two, because an advisor usually has an ongoing relationship with the client where they see them probably at least once a year, talk to them once a year. Whereas
Right.
me, when the clients leave, odds are decent I'll never see them again. And so then the advisor can prompt them about, oh, you're getting divorced. You need to update your will, which is
Right.
probably not the top priority for a client. Or, oh, you're moving to a new state. Maybe you need to update this plan. Whereas me,
Yeah.
when I'm approached, I work with people, but I don't deal with them every year.
I got another example. I've learned this from you over the years. They start having kids. Maybe one of the kids has special needs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yes.
And so, maybe some more legal documents need to be put in place,
They wouldn't necessarily think they need to update their documents because of that, which they do.
Or like here, we're in Georgia. And so one of the favorite places for Georgians to vacation is the Panhandle, which is Florida, technically. Well, once our clients have out-of-state real estate, might be another reason, right? To have something, or maybe like you said, divorce, remarried, blended families, right? So those are all examples I think that you've given me that might be a trigger for my clients that are from Georgia to consider maybe a trust.
Correct.
Is that right? So maybe you can break down a little bit, like in those examples of special needs child, out-of-state real estate, or blended family, why the trust might be something to look at beyond just the will and power of attorney and healthcare directive.
Yeah, so this is very state specific, but in Georgia, typically probate. So typically you either pass away with a will, hopefully with a will, and with assets passing through that will, and that involves a process called probate, which can be easy or can be a hellish nightmare. It just depends on
the state you live in.
Depends the state you live in, and a lot of it depends about your family situation, the status of how the will was written, things like that. It's not necessarily a bad process in Georgia, though. It can be very easy. There are times that you really want to try to avoid that with a trust. And so one example, like you said, out-of-state real estate. With out-of-state real estate, probate in Georgia is really easy, but if you add a Panama City Beach house to the mix, then suddenly you're looking at probate in 2 states.
Yeah.
And probate in Florida is not known to be super easy. So it'd be worth a call to your attorney in Florida when you buy the property, or your Georgia attorney, preferably your Georgia attorney if you're a Georgia resident, and thinking about maybe a trust or maybe some other type of arrangement with that house. Maybe if it's a rental, we put it in an LLC, and that would also help avoid Florida probate. Blended families, generally, it's a nice idea to have trust, not for all blended families, but for some blended families. If they marry later in life and they each have their own assets, so husband has his, wife has his. A trust is a really clean way, if they each have their own trust, to keep their assets theirs, and the surviving spouse, if one of them passes, the surviving spouse can usually tap off of that trust. But it's very clean about when they're both gone, these assets go to this set of kids, these assets go to this set of kids. And that's just a really clean way to do it instead of blending it all into one pot. And then hoping the surviving spouse doesn't change their mind later about their stepchildren. Yeah. And then special needs trusts are pretty important for special needs beneficiaries, minors or adults. Typically when you reach certain ages in Georgia, well, really any age, you can get special benefits from the federal and state governments that are means tested typically. So generally you don't want to get an inheritance and then hope to keep those benefits. So a special needs trust will let you kind of have your cake and eat it too. So keep some of those benefits in place and also use the money from your family members to help you with a little extras in life. So that's always done with a special needs trust.
Yeah. And in addition to that, I think one of the things that you're my estate attorney, we use you for Maureen and I's estate plan that you've, in addition to that, kind of helped us think through, like you said, putting a rental property in a separate entity like an LLC. So I found it really helpful just to kind of talk through that with you. Why would we do it? Why would we not do it? Quit claim deeding the, say, rental property if it was in my name to the LLC, and how to do those updates. And so I can say it really feels good when we, not just have met with you, but when all those documents, have been finalized. And I feel like you do such a great job of helping people think through the trustee, the successor trustee, the executor, the successor there, and if you've got guardians for minor kids. So really, really grateful in a world where everything's electronic. It's nice in your world where these big documents that you're not having to hand copies all over the place, where we really just want electronic copies now. So we're really grateful for that you're helping us with those things as well. One of the reasons I can, share this with you and the listeners online is that are listening, there are services online to get this stuff done, and there was a very short period of time where I was recommending that to folks. Go online. And again, as a fiduciary, acting in their best interest, trying to save them money and maximize everything. So, but what I was finding is that my clients weren't finishing the process. Let alone starting it, right? Like everybody's got a busy day, right? They get tired, they get home. They're like, hey, babe, we could either share a glass of wine and watch this really funny show, or we could just sit down and pull up an online website and start our estate planning. Like, when's your brain? You know what I mean? No, you want the endorphin hits of watching a fun show and just chilling, right? So, or they start it and they kind of get stuck with what I was saying was helpful for me meeting with you, the executor, the successor, the trustees, the guardians, and the backups for them, just to have you kind of help walk me through what would be appropriate. Like, do I really want to have older people in my life set as the guardian for my kids? I don't know. You got to think about some of these things. And I think that was really helpful. And it certainly should cost more to meet with someone with as much experience and expertise as you versus going online. But then we have somebody that we have a scheduled meeting with. We're going to honor that meeting. We've paid for it. So we actually want to finish. I know probably not all of your clients finish, right? But, spending, committing to the meetings and spending the more money, we've actually seen that clients will actually finish it. Now, I don't know the answer to this question, so I'm almost afraid to ask. But if we recommend our clients to you, Sarah, do they usually get it done? Do GI clients usually?
Yes, they actually usually do. I'm positive.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying always. There's a small stack that I'm
never going to be always. Yeah, if you need help, going after some GI clients, you let me know and we'll sick them. So we do have some incentives for our clients that those have changed over time and they depend. So I'm not going to say them here for the record, but we stopped just saying, hey, you need your will. Hey, you need your will. Hey, you need your will. We actually stick an incentive to it for our clients. They certainly can go online or go anywhere, but we generally do recommend, Sarah, locally. Like you said, Sarah, this is really important to kind of get state specific, right? So if they live, if their primary residence is outside of Georgia, then you're not necessarily working with them, or can you?
No, they need to do it in the state where they're a resident. Sometimes there are out-of-state people that need one little tiny piece done in Georgia. Maybe they need something set up for their Georgia rental house or something like that. But generally, they go to the state where they're a resident.
Okay. Yeah. So sorry to break the hearts of the listeners that are not in the state of Georgia. And I'm like, Sarah, sounds really cool. You do need to find somebody local there. Full disclosure here. We love Sarah. She's not kicking back or anything. We just, as a fiduciary, don't want anything. She does occasionally send us some bundt cakes, to the office, but we do love sending her. She's got great Google reviews. You don't have to take my word for it. Check out. She's got a great website. I think Sarah, I'm always like, how does she have more Google reviews than us? Because we were all about Google reviews. And I'm always so impressed. She's got 2 locations. So and we just continue to recommend her because the experience, she gives our clients such an exceptional experience. So we're really grateful for that.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about that life transition. We hinted at it before, where maybe they've already met with you, Sarah. They actually followed up. They're not on your tiny stack of these folks still haven't finished this, right? Like they got the will, they got the power of attorney, they got the healthcare directive, but they go through a life transition. Let's, absolutely something you don't want to do, but let's use divorce as an example. What needs to be updated if they got divorced and they had already done all their estate planning?
So that's a good question. Generally, they really need to update everything.
Yeah.
So under Georgia law, if you do a will and then you divorce later and you don't rewrite your will, which happens all the time, generally they're written out. The former spouse is written out of the document. So Georgia law writes them out. And that's a pretty reasonable assumption.
Yeah,
You're divorcing them. You don't want them to get anything from you. Yeah. I would say I get a lot of people calling me that are like beginning of the divorce stage, and the divorce process is going to last a long time. I would say probably update pretty quickly, because typically this process could take a really long time, and you don't want anything to happen during that process where something happens to you and you still got the soon to be ex named in the documents
Right.
to do things for you. That's a terrible situation. And also, people generally going through a divorce just hate the thought of their soon to be ex making healthcare decisions for them, for example.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's one
maybe the last
where,
person you want doing that. Yeah. Oh gosh.
yeah, a lot of people think they need to wait till the divorce is final to update everything. No, that's not true. Maybe jump on it quickly.
Jump on it quickly. Okay, that's a good one. I wanted to circle back on a thought I had earlier, and that is sometimes I run into clients and they're like, "Oh, I don't need an estate plan because I've designated beneficiaries and everything, so I can just supersede probate," right? So they've like all their IRAs have beneficiaries, right? And then their non-retirement accounts they made joint, right, with rights of survivorship. Sure. Their bank accounts they did POD, payable on death to somebody else, And I'm always like, one, and I'll say something, and I want your feedback too. Like, one, I'm like, I mean, that's a lot of work for you to continue to keep up with. Every asset you have has a beneficiary on it. And two, like, what are you trying? Like, I guess they have maybe heard that probate is bad, but again, like we said, for Georgia residents, it's not that bad. And I guess like the whole, for me, getting a will, power of attorney, and healthcare directive with somebody like you is a pretty painless experience. And I think it's a good one to go through and have these thoughts and have everything wrapped up so that, I mean, gosh, like, there's got to be some money set aside to take care of the end of life expenses too. But if I just like stuck beneficiaries and all the assets left, and like, who's the executor and where's the money to pay for all the end of life expenses? So I don't know if you feel the same way, or if you run into folks that are like, I don't need you. I've got beneficiaries for all my assets and I'm going to skip probate. And I'm always like, why are you doing that?
I do run into that a lot. And I always point out, like what you just pointed out, sure, you have beneficiaries on everything. Well, you're kind of relying on those people to cough up some money that, to pay your funeral expenses, which maybe the kids are all great kids and sure, no problem. Sure. But I usually point out, like, you still need a will anyway, because it happens all the time where a client has everything set up to pass outside probate, and then something comes up. I've had it the last year, like 2 or 3 clients got large refund checks from long-term care expenses. They got a big check.
Claim, and that refund a premium, a tax refund. What if you inherited something and then you forgot to update the beneficiary on the inheritance you got? Boom.
Exactly.
Now it's going to be probated intestate. Right? Without
I had another one recently. The kids are convinced that their mom died of medical malpractice.
Ooh.
And so they are suing. And so if they get anything, which who knows, but if they do, then that's an asset of the estate that the will has to govern.
Right.
So it's, naming beneficiaries is great. Yeah, I think naming beneficiaries can be great in a lot of cases, but that's not the end all be all for everyone.
Yeah, like maybe there's like even a nonprofit that I'm like, hey, I'm just going to make them, I just want this this asset to go right to the nonprofit, and I just don't have to worry about it. And I want these specific things to go to my kids. But then like, I want this whole kind of things to settle, and then there to be an executor that pays final things and has money to cover expenses and make sure all the dust settle. I'll share one last story too, and then we can wrap up. I might have shared this story with you before, Sarah, but over my career, I had in 1 year, I had 2 clients pass away unexpectedly, prematurely. One client, her and her husband were clients of ours, and we had buttoned up their estate plan. We literally, the assets all moved. The husband died prematurely and went to the wife within days. Everything, it was less than a week that at least the assets we managed and what we were helping her with moved, right? The other client, they actually, they hired us, and a lot of the family members had died in a tragic accident, and they did not have a will. They did not have a power of attorney or healthcare directive. Both parents passed away, and it took over a year.
Oh,
over a year. We had a stack like that, 2-3 inches tall, that we kept having to move around from meetings to desks to other people to try to get all that stuff solved. And it wasn't necessarily a lot of money. It was just a lot of little bits of money all over the place. And it just took a year. The survivors obviously were just so distraught about all the folks that they had left. And so to have to deal with all this letters, testamentary, and judges making decisions, it was really, really rough. So just from my own personal experience, I'm like, gosh, please have this buttoned up, because you never know what can happen. So, well, listen, super, super grateful for you to be on here. Maybe you can share how the audience can get in touch with you directly. I mean, obviously you guys can ping us. We'll send you Sarah's info, but how do they just get to you directly?
Sure. They can, probably the best way to reach me is email, Sarah with an H, SARAH @lawyersarah.com. You can also go to my website. It's got my phone number. It's lawyersarah.com.
Awesome. And Tara, who's sitting across the street, the desk. I can't even talk right now. So not Sarah, but Tara, who's sitting across the desk from me, wrote this really great blog. She's probably mad I'm showing it because it's not printed in color. But anyway, because that's a really great picture. The estate plan you didn't know you needed. So this is one of the blogs on our website. You can go to goodwinvestment.com, click on Knowledge Center, search for that. You'll find it. And you can subscribe to our blog, which will keep giving you great content like something like that. So, Sarah, as we sign off, I always love for us to kind of share what we're grateful for. And so one of the things that while you're thinking about that, I'll share, I'm just grateful for you. I've mentioned that a few times already in our 25 minutes or so together, but I was actually talking to other advisors in other states. And they have trouble finding really great folks like you are in their areas, and they have to come up with other solutions that are nowhere near as cool as having their own Sarah White. So they're all super envious of us. I'm getting to work closely with you. And actually, Tara was showing off to the team earlier today your new bio on our website and all the fun stuff about you. So you'll have to check that out. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I have a ton I'm grateful for, but one thing I've been grateful for in the past couple of years is I've always taken good health for granted.
Yes.
In the past couple of years, I've had two of our daughters have some health challenges, and one more serious. Well, they're both pretty serious. And it just really makes me realize I've always taken good health. I've just been assumed that I'd be in good health, and everybody in my family be in perfect health. So health is something I really, really do not take for granted anymore.
Yep. I totally grateful for that as well. So thanks again, Sarah, for joining us. Listeners, if you need to get in touch with us, just check us out at goodwininvestment.com. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Money Pig Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. To stay updated on new episodes, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. If you found value in today's discussion, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave a rating and review. If you have any questions about the topics we covered, feel free to visit us at goodwininvestment.com and reach out. This episode is produced by evance.net. This podcast is provided for informational purposes only and should not be considered as investment advice, a solicitation to buy or sell any financial products, securities, digital assets, or other investment vehicles, nor as a basis for making any financial decisions. Goodwin Investment Advisory is a registered investment advisor with the SEC, CRD number 131193. Please note that the host and or guests may personally own securities, digital assets, or other investments mentioned in this podcast. Investments carry risk and are not guaranteed unless stated otherwise. We strongly recommend consulting with a qualified financial advisor, tax professional, insurance professional, and/or legal professional before implementing any strategies discussed in this episode. Lastly, past performance is not indicative of future results.